Are you currently living your dreams?
The first indigenous Kenya to head Safaricom.
Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa joins me on Power Talk tonight.
Just sat in Safaricom CEO's office, Peter Ndegwa.
He previously served for 7 years as Chief Executive of Guinness Nigeria.
Peter Ndegwa has been inaugurated as the second Chancellor of the Mary University of Science and Technology.
Everything is in your hands. Luck comes to those in the moment. You are going to be successful if you are positive. Solutions don't come from negativity. They come from coming together and collaborating. So you need to be choiceful based on what you want. I always say you have to lead yourself to lead others. And part of leading yourself is looking after yourself. Doing good is good for business because you define what is called the what and the why. Ours is to create a purpose-led technology company that will continue to improve how people live.
If we were to make you CEO of this country, how would you go about making Kenya a successful country? I'm so excited to have this conversation, Peter, simply because out of 50 million Kenyans, you get to head the biggest company in the country. And just for context, we're going to start with what do we need to know about you and your earliest years? How did you grow up that formed the foundation that led you to become the man that you are? I'm curious about that, always curious.
Yeah, I'm also happy to participate in this. Is it Philo or Karanja?
Jibambe, go for it.
So feel happy to participate in this.
Right.
When I was told about becoming CEO,
yes.
I've been CEO now just over 10 years because I became CEO in 2011.
Oh yeah.
In Ghana. So I was wondering, is it about the journey and so on? So, but anyway, let me go back to. I grew up in Nyandarua.
Okay.
In Nyandarua County, in the Highlands. I always tell people, even when I lived in Europe, I said to everyone that I grew up in the Highlands.
Okay.
That means I'm used to cold. I'm used to rain. I went to a primary school, an ordinary primary school in Nyandarua called Gaidedia Primary School.
Okay.
Actually, last year I went back because we were supporting the school as part of me giving back, as part of our employee program of giving back to society. So it was an emotional moment to be back to where my life began.
Right.
And happy to talk about it in whichever way you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious because for you to lead such an organization, and from what I see, observing outside looking in, you're very much on strategy. So I'm wondering how that was shaped for you from a young age. How was it in your household?
Yeah.
Is this something you learned much later in life, or is this something that was started at home?
Yeah, it's always easy when you are in a certain leadership position to say, oh yeah, I grew up this way, or I'm actually wired this way.
Right.
But actually what you realize is that you learn things as you go.
Okay.
So I grew up in a humble upbringing, large family, second born.
Okay.
So you learn very quickly to become responsible, to take responsibility seriously. Probably that's why the structure comes alive, to help at home, and also not to assume that help will be obvious. So walk to school like your normal rural kid.
Right.
But I think the most important, you learn to be a parent early, because you see your brothers and sisters are actually growing up, and you learn to be responsible. Probably that's the beginning of structure.
Okay.
The second thing is that at the time I grew up in the 70s, or in the late 70s, when I went to school in the late 70s and 80s, I realized that education was an important access to opportunity. At that time, meritocracy, the society was much more meritocratic.
Yeah.
Your grades are the ones who took you to the school you wanted to go.
Yes.
Not the family you came from, not your socioeconomic,
right,
and so on. So it was actually, although humble, It was actually a very positive upbringing.
Okay.
Teachers were very benevolent, very generous. They just want you to do well.
Okay.
They have no intention to take anything from you, or
Right.
they just want you to know to get good grades.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was generally at the top of the class
Right.
for the most part,
Yeah.
until I went to Starehe for high school.
Okay.
And of course, that was the next stage of really anchoring me
Yeah.
in the context of what I would be in the future.
We are at the Holy Grail. Yeah, I think this monument represents Starehe and its legacy. And this gentleman, Starehe was big for you. I'm curious about what you think about their legacy they left for you. Let me call you boy, as an old boy of this school. And
You fear calling me boy.
old
Yeah.
boy for today.
Yes.
And also, I'm curious about what you think about your legacy. What's the legacy you want to leave?
Right. Yeah. So I suppose, when I was in school, and it still happens up until today, there's something which is very famous, and that we call the Founders Day.
Yeah.
And the Founders Day is not about when Starehe was founded. So Starehe was founded in 1959
All right.
by these three gentlemen.
Yeah.
G.W. Griffin, Gikubu, and Gituro. They had the passion for developing boys into future leaders.
Yeah.
So that's why they started the school, and it was to provide care and education
Okay.
to boys in need
Right.
that could become productive and also productive members of society.
Right.
So it wasn't just the utility of it, but it's actually what you could be in society. In terms of my own legacy, it's about thinking of the Starehe way. So Griffin and the late Griffin and the founders of Starehe wanted to create boys who would have who would take a stand, make impact, and also make a difference in society.
Right.
So I want to make a difference in society.
Okay.
Hopefully, I am doing it in the roles that I have.
Absolutely.
And in future, I'm sure I'll continue to be involved, especially this whole thing about making a difference in society, because you can transform organizations. I've been involved in leadership for a very long time.
Right.
But it's really ensuring that it is in service of society.
Let me take you back to the day you received a call. I don't know how the call was made, but Mr. Peter Ndegwa, we'd love for you to be the CEO of Safaricom. Do you remember that moment?
So,
or how does it go?
No, I think, look, Safaricom is the largest organization in this country, in the region.
Yeah.
It's the leading company on the stock exchange.
Absolutely.
It's a special business,
Yes,
and it's a special company.
Right.
It is. We not that we boast, but we say that every adult in this country has interacts with one or two of our brands every day. Whether it's an M-Pesa brand, it's data, it's connectivity, it's whatever it is. So that's 2 million customers on M-Pesa, 36 on a 30-day active, what we call 30-day active on connectivity.
Wow.
But in total, so it is a business that is special. But it's also, when you look at the brand, whether Safaricom or M-Pesa, are the two top most recognized brands. So it's a household name. So therefore, when you get a chance to work for Safaricom, and for that matter to be CEO of Safaricom, it's an incredible opportunity, but also responsibility. So when I received, you can't say I received a call, because it's usually a process.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Take us through the process.
know, so the headhunter come to you and tell you, are you interested? I never, I worked in Diageo for 16 years. I worked in breweries, which is East Africa breweries, initially. For 7 years. I went to West Africa for 7 years with Guinness Ghana and Guinness Nigeria as CEO, and then went to run the continental European business. So I had worked in a large corporate for a long time, and I was already very senior. And I had been abroad for a while. So my first My first stint abroad was Pricewaterhouse for 6 years.
Oh.
Then came back.
Yeah.
I worked in this country.
Right.
And then now went back out with Diageo. So when the headhunter approached me, I was abroad. At that time, I was in Europe. So of course, they told me there's this interesting opportunity. It is for the largest business in East Africa, Safaricom.
Yeah.
And clearly, it is the one job that would have brought me back into this country, because I was already on a path to quite some senior positions within Diageo. But
Right.
Safaricom, as I said, is very special. So headhunting.
Yeah.
Then the process starts. You're not sure whether this is serious, then the process starts.
Right.
And then eventually I come and see the board. So I came here to interview with the board.
Right.
And then went back. And so in terms of by the time actually I was told it is happening, it was a process that was run in a way that you know whether it is happening or not. So, but clearly until it happens, it's still not true. So I think hadn't internalized just how big it was. My LinkedIn profile, the number of messages I received from LinkedIn. I was not a big fan of Facebook and Twitter and all those, although I am actually on Twitter. But certainly LinkedIn, the number of reviews I had when this whole thing was announced was massive.
Wow.
And of course, it started now sinking in about the responsibility that you are taking, the sense of accountability that you need to have. And now you also start losing your privacy. I could come back when I was living abroad and go into Kengeles to have a coffee or Java or whatever. That time, as you know, I used to sell alcohol, so I could go into any accounts because I was very familiar. But as soon as, of course, CEO of Safaricom, you're
famous.
You're no longer a private individual. You have to now start dealing with that. But to answer your question, I think it was a process, but I think I would say people around me probably appreciated it more in the context of the spontaneity than me, because I had gone through the process. Because it is, you don't recruit a CEO in 1 month.
No.
It takes quite a while.
I'm curious for my viewers who are in the corporate world and growing through the ladder. How do you get noticed by a headhunter? How do you set yourself up to get noticed by a headhunter? Because I can imagine there's so many people who would have filled this position. But they came to you specifically.
Yes. So first, I know this sounds counterintuitive. When you say get noticed. So first of all, I think the headhunters have a way of profiling people.
Right.
So as CEO of Safaricom, I'm sure that I'm in the list of many headhunters. Just like any other CEO in a large corporate. So I had been strategy director in the East Africa breweries. I've been sales director. I've been CFO.
Right.
I was the CEO in Guinness Nigeria, Guinness Ghana, and now CEO in Diageo in Europe. So generally, my name was with the key headhunters. The thing is not about being noticed. It's whether you listen to them. So it depends on what you want headhunters to do. So of course, your profile is what your profile is created by the type of roles that you have done or you have had, but also the types of experiences that they are looking for.
Right.
So they were looking for a CEO who is an established CEO. So they were not looking for a new CEO, because Safaricom it requires an experienced CEO. Second, they were looking for a CEO who has both experience in Kenya but also abroad, because it's a company that does not just focus on Kenya.
Right.
It needs a global perspective. But also they were looking for a CEO who could demonstrate capacity to adapt.
Right.
I had worked in Kenya in different organizations. I'd worked in different functions. I'd worked in West Africa and succeeded in working in West Africa, including in Nigeria. I had been the first African to work in a big organization like Diageo and lead one of their biggest businesses, actually the second largest business within the Diageo business, amongst the 20, what they call the 20 markets within Diageo. And I'm not talking about the regions. I'm talking about specific markets. But essentially, just going back to the headhunters, in terms of how people should think about it, sometimes also being in front of headhunters too much is not good.
Okay.
So you need to be choiceful based on what you want, because first of all, it distracts you from the role that you are playing. Remember, your most important, I always tell people, the most important role is the role you have.
Yes.
Not the role you'll go into.
No.
That will come at some point.
Yeah.
But if you do not do a brilliant job in the role that you have, and actually be patient and show success in roles that you've had, interviewers and employers will not give you the best roles.
Right.
They will say this person never stays in role long enough.
Yeah.
Probably they don't show enough resilience. Probably they don't show enough stability. I had been employed by 2 employers, although I had done very many roles. It was only PwC and Diageo. And I had done a variety of roles. So it isn't that I was only doing one role, but also shows ability to be successful in organizations and actually create your own success. So in relating with the headhunter, it's also saying, what does the headhunter want to do? I was not listening to headhunters. Otherwise, I would have left Diageo earlier. Yeah. But this was the opportunity that I could not. In fact, I remember that when we were living in, and I'll tell you on a softer note, when we were living in Netherlands, in The Hague then, Den Haag, as it's called in the Netherlands. And my son, who was in a local school, in one of the schools there, told me he likes the school. Where am I going? Where are we going back? He had gone to school in Ghana, Nigeria, and now in Netherlands. He was saying, "No, I'm comfortable." And then I told him, "No, I have a new role, but Diageo has been good to you." So he said to me, "But can you decline that job?" So I told him, Safaricom is not the organization you can decline, despite the fact that Diageo was a fantastic organization and employer, but because of what Safaricom is, as a corporate, as a brand, and as an entity that transcends and brings to life many things about what Kenyans know. So we talk internally about Safaricom being about creating a purpose-led technology company, but the impact we have on societies is really amazing.
We're going to come back to the family dynamic, because I can imagine your life just cruising through the entire world, what that does to your family. Okay, so I was just saying, this is something I've always been curious about. And for you, at least you have that global perspective. Working at Diageo, I think by the time you left, you were the managing director for continental Europe and Russia. First of all, how are you selling to people in Russia? Anyway, story for another day. But why is it so hard for Kenyan and African companies to go beyond the borders of Africa? Like, it's very easy for Nike and Apple and to penetrate our market, and Netflix. But Safaricom is, amazing. Look at an innovation like M-Pesa. Amazing. But why isn't M-Pesa, going across the borders, across Africa?
The way I think about this is to think about the vision and the purpose that the company want. So the horizons that a company wants to deliver, it's shaped by the purpose of the company, but also the vision. Right. When you talk about M-Pesa, and I know that you said, why is it not global? Actually, M-Pesa has shaped how mobile financial services globally work. Has inspired a lot of how companies which are in this industry think. And today M-Pesa is in 8 markets in Africa. Wow. It was only started in 17 years ago. So it's a very young company. Right. Or rather brand and actually proposition, but it's already in 8 markets. Wow. Some of the companies you are mentioning, like Diageo, which is in 180 countries, have brands that have been 270 years like Guinness, 210 years like Johnny Walker, and so on.
Right.
So they have had the pedigree, the many centuries. Yeah. So M-Pesa is only 17 years.
Yeah.
It's not even an adult from that
By the way,
perspective.
true.
Safaricom is only 23 years old.
Okay.
It was started in 2000.
Yeah.
So our company, I mean, Safaricom has achieved what it has achieved by being number one in the region, and is only in early 20s.
Yeah.
So the vision can push companies beyond what they intend. So there's no reason why African companies cannot be global.
Right.
Yeah, and also in this day and age of technology, and the world being one, or the world having less borders, there's no reason why we cannot encourage companies to go global. Of course, we have to understand what it takes to be global.
Yeah.
You have to have a trusted brand. You have to have quality products or propositions or services, but also you have to have the right corporate governance so that investors can continue to fund the company.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why also the environments we live in. So companies like Safaricom showcasing what we could do. We've gone into Ethiopia, which is not easy.
Amazing.
You know, it's not easy to lead a consortium of global partners like Sumitomo from Japan or BII from the UK, which is owned by the British government,
Right.
and also Vodacom, to go into Ethiopia, a local Kenyan company having the majority stake and leading the way into an investment where which the ticket was $1 billion to actually have the right to operate in Ethiopia, both for communication but also for mobile financial services, and then continue to invest another couple of $billion to actually put an ecosystem and infrastructure.
Right.
So I think there's really no limitation other than investment, ability to invest.
Yeah.
So of course the West have had a long runway. So therefore they have the investment, the markets to really fund whether it's equity or debt that is required to go and invest.
Right.
But actually, success comes from success at home. If you look at the most successful companies, they are successful at home.
Yeah.
Then they go abroad.
Yes.
The Japanese companies were successful, like the Toyotas were successful at home, then they go abroad.
Right.
So there's no, and this, even when people ask the question about is Safaricom too big, I say, in what context? I worked with very, large organizations.
Yes.
And the Safaricom in Africa would be probably top 15. Yeah. So we should encourage 5-10 Safaricoms, so that Kenya is positions to go beyond our borders. Because if you have smaller companies, they won't be successful abroad, and it's only local. I mean, your strength at home allows you to be able to go abroad.
I'm trying to get into the mind of the man seated in front of me.
Yes.
A man who takes over a company that has employed over, I think, 6,000 people.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that your cultures, your values are passed all the way down to 6,000 people, that they are in tune with your mission and your vision?
Yeah.
We want to know how to run a big company.
Okay.
Please teach us.
Yes. I think the thing is, even when you plant a tree, it starts with a seed, then the seedling, then a young tree, and then eventually becomes grown.
Yeah.
So even in learning to lead, you have to learn over time. Yeah. So when I look at my own career, I started at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Right.
I learned the analytical. I got the analytical foundation, understanding business, because you are working with various businesses, understanding different environments, going to London, coming back, etc.
Yes.
Different functions.
Yeah.
Then I joined Diageo, and I was there as the strategy director. So you learn how to create strategy for business.
Right.
Then I worked as sales director. So really learned how do you sell things to customers, how do you value. Then I was CFO. Then I was CEO in Ghana, Nigeria, and also in Europe. So in coming to Safaricom, first of all, I had to bring my own experience. Yeah? In running a business. I had run 3 businesses.
Yeah.
You make mistakes, you learn from them.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second, you learn how to make organizations tick. You start with a new vision. So when I came in during COVID. So first of all, I had to adjust and settle in COVID in 2020, April 1st, which is when I joined the company.
That was
it was in the middle of COVID.
We didn't know, was this an April Fool's prank?
Yes. And actually, the first interaction I had with my team was on Zoom. So first of all, you have to think, how do I settle? How do I understand this new business?
Right.
How do I know my team? And it is during COVID. But part of it is, how do you adapt? Because I had adapted into various roles. So as a leader, you always have to say, transitions are not easy to manage, but you have to think about the dimensions that you are managing. But just coming back to your question about how do you make sure that an organization is singing from the same hymn sheet. So first, the vision has to be very clear, the purpose and the vision. So we talk about our purpose of transforming lives, which is what Safaricom is known to go beyond just commercial objectives. And then when I came in 2020, we developed a new vision to be a purpose-led technology company. We had been a very successful telecommunication business, very, very successful mobile money platform. We wanted now to convert ourselves to be a purpose-led, so its purpose will still be important, serving society, technology company. So enabling us to deliver services that empower customers and also empower society, but using technology and innovation to combine. So then, how do you bring that to life? So you have to engage the whole organization. First of all, starting with my own leadership team, the board, the stakeholders. But I came up with something called mission. So in the military, when they go into war, they have a sense of mission.
Yes.
So there's always, every squad, every battalion has a mission. And the mission is broken into smaller tasks. So we came up with that concept of mission. So then missions allow you to convert a vision that is long. So our vision was 2025, we were to be a purpose-led technology company.
Right.
But what is your first mission for you to start to be able to get there? So we came up with a mission of being a customer-obsessed digital-first organization.
Right.
Because digital first means you're starting to embrace technology. You're starting to focus on the customer. So you have to then have layers of missions that allow you to get to the vision. And then you build on the culture of the organization. We have a culture, what we call the spirit of Safaricom, which has 4 elements. Earning customer loyalty, which we call customer obsession. Collaboration, which is about doing it together instead of the silos. And we formed Agile. I'm sure you've heard about Agile, which I got in trouble with because it was seen as a foreign item, and we can talk about it. And then the third one is purpose. So this organization is also about serving beyond commercial objectives. So purpose, society is important. And then the fourth one, and Safaricom has always been known very well for, is innovation. So we call it the spirit of Safaricom.
Right.
So you have a vision and you have a purpose, vision and mission. And then you enroll everyone through the spirit, which is what we call culture. And ensure that everyone brings their best. And we did it during COVID. Actually, we had some of the best engagement scores by our employees during COVID. Because we enabled our employees to serve the country during a time that our services were most required.
Currently, we're seeing a lot of men struggling with mental health issues. And what is it as men we can do different? What was being done back then that is not being done right now?
I think in terms of mental health, there was more support system then, even within schools, than probably today. So there are more issues today. We didn't have significant issues around drugs or alcohol abuse or anything.
Yeah.
But now you see some of those starting to emerge in schools.
Right.
So I suppose there is more issues today that school administrators are having to deal with than they were. Even in employment space, we see mental health as one of the top 3 issues that we need to deal with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there's more pressures, society, financial pressure, all the pressures of society. I mean, life is too intense. So therefore, we have to be much more conscious and now much more transparent about mental health being an issue.
I have interacted with your organization, Safaricom, on several occasions. And one thing that's very clear for me is whenever I walk into your organization is how the women are super empowered at Safaricom. Like they really speak their mind. I think there's even a women in tech organization that has been there for, I think, over a decade. And just for me, how have you institutionalized that culture of just giving women a voice and a position and a power in your organization?
Yeah, it was not always like that.
Oh, really?
What I mean is that it has taken conscious effort to stand for diversity and inclusion.
Right.
And diversity, first of all, gender, but also diversity in terms of persons living with disabilities.
Right.
So we have 3% of our employees are persons living with disability. So from women empowerment, we've been on this journey for more than 10 years.
Right.
Internally, we set ourselves targets. So 40% at leadership level, 50-50 at an overall business level. We achieved last year 40% leadership, gender diversity. And you see it when we attend quarterly business reviews, when you attend various components, you feel it in the discussions that we have, because diversity brings reflects when your employee base reflects the society, you get more empowered employees. Because women bring something different from men. They have different elements that they bring, so it's very important. And then therefore we went back and said, what is preventing women really getting through to the higher positions? Because we have had good diversity, but we also have, we were seeing a lot of women dropping off as we got more senior. So we had to do, so we are a technology business, engineering courses, science courses are not necessarily as diverse when you go and look at university. So we started programs like Women in Technology. So our own women who are in technology go and empower and actually teach girls in high school or girls in or women in universities about how to be successful. We also started to promote on the supply side, women-run, women-owned businesses. And as a result of all that, we have very good diversity now on my ExCo, all the commercial functions, consumer, enterprise, financial services, all led by women. So it is being very thoughtful, being deliberate, but also dealing with the issues that get in the way, including understanding women have to go on maternity, so providing enough time, providing flexibility for when they return to work, not assuming they'll have the same flexibility as men. And many organizations see the real benefit, and the studies show that more diverse workforce actually deliver more and more innovative.
Wow.
That's the reason why you see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so it's not token roles.
It's not tokenism.
Yes, it is real. Like that's why I mentioned we have the big commercial roles. A lot of those are being led by women in Safaricom.
Wow, amazing. I think our Githeri is not ready, so we'll proceed.
Gerald, are you sure you should have served us even tea?
Why is this so important for you?
So I remembered when we were walking towards the Shell that Safaricom gave these computers. The computers you see in this room were actually a gift from Safaricom. What we do, we as a technology company, we have lots of computers.
Okay.
Because we are a large consumer of laptops, desktops, and so on.
Right.
When we stopped using them, probably 2-3 years in, we get them refurbished.
Okay.
In the same way you'd refurbish a car.
Yeah.
Almost as new, and then gift them to schools.
Right.
So this is one of the programs that that we did a couple of years ago.
Right.
And I'm told by the school that as a result, the improvement in scores, either on the technical course around computers, or anyone who is using or who is required to use computers, has increased substantially. Last year, I think the transition to universities was 97% in the school. But part of it is actually just ensuring that they have the right tools. Yeah, because tools are the most important. Okay, of course you need teachers. Yeah. But in this day and age of internet, research, I still remember coming into this room and talking to students who are doing some innovation on IoT, and they were third formers. I was thinking, what was I doing in that form? I was not doing IoT, Internet of Things. For those who might not realize what IoT is. And so the kids of nowadays can do these things at a very early age. And by the time they are done in fourth form, and remember, this is not just kids who are going to do computer science. Every course now requires a technology component. Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually saying that the other day when I went to Meru University, that it's not just the computer science guys. Every single area will use digital at some point. Whether you are in medicine, in agriculture, in whichever course you go into.
I was actually about to mention that
digital skills are important.
Because I've just by watching a couple of your interviews and interactions, you're heavy on sustainability and using tech. And I think Safaricom, the few times I've interacted with Safaricom staff, they always go paperless. Is this something you huge on, big on?
So in the current world, tech is having a big impact on the way we live, the way we socialize, the way we interact, the way we shop, and all that. So as a technology company, and we aspire to be a purpose-led technology company, we have to enable our customers to experience us in a digital way. So you cannot, charity begins at home. So we have to automate and digitize. So our first mission, when we came up with the new vision of being a purpose-led technology company, was to create a customer-obsessed, digital-first organization. Digital-first means you're using a mobile device or a technology platform to be able to access whatever it is that you want, the services you are demanding.
Amazing.
And in future, in the world of AI and Gen AI, then we can enable our customers to get the best experience, to get the best value, to get what they want. We now talk about the market of one. So Phil should have what he wants, and it should be different from Peter's. Because we can actually target you as a person, as a specific individual, and communicate to you directly.
Your thoughts on AI? Are you embracing it fully? Are you not scared of AI? You don't think robots will take over at some point?
No. The thing is, if you think about technology and how technology has evolved over the years, technology generally has always enabled humans to do more. And to do better. So why should AI be different? So if you think of artificial intelligence and applying it to use cases that enable society to live better. So for example, today we are using artificial intelligence to understand within our M-Pesa ecosystem where a customer might be defrauded. That's using it for good. But you always have to understand the downside so that AI is not abused. So for example, you don't use AI to discriminate against people, those types of things. So we have to understand that side. And also, we also have to understand you govern AI within the organization in a way that that the governance infrastructure are in place so that you use it properly. Because
if you think about it, it can also be used for terrorism, for financing all kinds of things. We should always use technology for good, but understand the downside and manage that downside. Not fear, not fear technology. Otherwise, we'll be left behind.
That is true.
Do you agree?
Wait,
We'll be
I
left
agree,
behind.
I agree.
And just like we have leapfrogged the rest of the world on mobile financial services.
Yes.
If we are left behind because we fear, they say leadership is about embracing fear.
That is true.
That
is
and
true.
Actually, when you think about risk, the risk that you have is always less. There's an illusion of risk. Risk also feels higher than it is.
Than it actually
so,
is.
But when you take the risk, then
just jump, just do it.
Just do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
One of the most memorable element of any Starehean is the living day. And what the school always honored and it still does, the people who are living. And they would have specific hymns, which I still remember, and I can sing one of them. And then something that was very important that was called the charge. And the charge was read to every school leaver from the very beginning of the school until today. That would then tell the students on what they have learned in school in Starehe and what they should do about it. So I still remember the hymns, like the first one, Dear Master, in whose life I see all that I long but fail to be. Let thy clear light forever shine to shame and guide this life of mine, etc. And then the best one was this, Lord, thou hast brought us to our journey's end. You know this one, Lord, thou hast brought us to our journey's end. Once more to thee our evening prayers ascend. Once more we stand to praise thee for the past. Grant prayer and praise, be honest at the last. And then the charge. The charge was the one which was read by Griffin. So it was, I charge you never to forget the great benefits you received in this place, and in time to come according to your means. So it doesn't matter whether you have small means, big means, doesn't matter. To do all you can to enable others to enjoy the same advantage. And remember that you carry with you, which was the most important, wherever you go, the good name of Starehe. May God Almighty bless you in your ways and keep you in the knowledge of His love, now and forever. So that has been read to every Starehean. And in fact, we say that for the people who have left, you should go out there to serve, to lead, and to transform.
What I'm picking from Starehe is repetition, like we call it
tradition.
Culture, tradition.
Yeah.
And from 1959, there's certain things that have been repeated. It's a tradition. What's the importance of tradition and culture when it comes to, let's say, business or even family and institutions?
So culture is about, and in Safaricom we talk about language, rituals, symbols, language, rituals, symbols, and stories. Language, rituals, symbols, and stories. And tradition is part of rituals. So if you think about business, you have to have rituals that allow the business to run in a certain way, in a consistent, in a predictable way, but still allow people to understand what the vision and mission of the business is. The stories come in. So it's not just about rituals. It is also about the stories. It's about the mission of the school. It's reinforced all the time. And if you do that even in business, then you enroll and you actually you engage. Engagement is a very important tool of delivering success in a business or even in a state. If you look at the most engaged nations, is where the leaders engage people very almost on a continuous basis and repeats and repeats. And you see the most effective leaders are those who are not unwilling to continue to repeat what they think is important. And that's what Starehe has been, and that's what Griffin was about. So it's not just about tradition, it's also ensuring the tradition keeps the vision alive, the mission alive, and engages in a way that makes you consider your own. You know, so the students owned the Starehe way.
Yeah.
You don't need to be told every day, because this was run primarily by students.
By students, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And whether it is in the houses, in the assembly hall, and although the principal plays a very important role as the symbol of leadership and authority, the students are the ones accountable and in charge.
Oh, wow.
It is about just creating one single-minded sense of mission.
Yeah.
Everyone, now, if you have mission at the top of the organization, then you go to the next layer and say, what's your mission in order for us to achieve that the corporate mission? So every single person, until you get to the lowest person, or the smallest team, have a mission that allows for the organization to serve. The analogy is like going, remember that Kennedy said we need to go to the moon and bring the people back safely.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was sweeping, and then he was asked, what are you doing? Yeah. He said, I am actually helping to take the man to the moon.
Wow.
Because if he didn't look after the people and the place, then the man will not be, the project of taking the man to the moon would not have happened. So that's the same essence of the mission philosophy that we use in Safaricom.
You borrow heavily from military.
The military, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a passion or something you
learned
over time in the different organizations?
Yes, during my days when I was in East Africa Breweries, when I was head of strategy, we got an organization that really helped us understand how military thinks about strategy.
Right.
And not so much just in the context of strategy as a concept, but how to bring it to life. Because military are very good in bringing strategy to life. So they can talk about something, but how do you bring it to life?
Right.
So the sense of converting strategy into a specific mission and then aggregating all these missions into the overall corporate mission allows for everyone to feel part of it, but also to deliver. So I learned during my my growing into becoming a CEO, so to say. Yes. So we even got General Kibochi when the previous CDF to come to talk to our team about how the military uses mission. So my team was very excited because they saw just how relevant the process we were using and how it relates to the way the military guys think. Because at the end of the day, remember, in military, although it feels like a command and control, there's a lot of empowerment and a lot of accountability. And mission empowers people because you define what is called the what and the why. So you tell people, you do this is the reason. I don't tell you the how. No. You figure out the how. So you don't come and define how I should do it.
No.
But you just tell me the what you want me to do and the why.
Okay.
The why is very important.
Right.
Yeah. So like, for example, when a military team goes to defend the country, the why is to keep peace or to make sure that the country. So it's the same thing in business, which is if you give people more autonomy, more accountability, more responsibility, they will actually give it back.
This is probably outside of business, but the fact that military tactics have been proven to work in business all over the world, yet it's the least talked about thing in businesses. I don't understand why, but also the nature of human beings is we will always have battles and wars.
We'll always have
wars and battles. And I'm just curious about your thoughts on what's going on around the world right now. I mean, we have Ukraine and Russia. We have what's happening in Congo.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a time we'll ever get where as human beings we will live peacefully? Is that this is me wondering?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think, so first of all, when I reflect on Russia, Ukraine, the first thing that occurred to me is actually I used to visit those countries because it was part of my market. I remember going to Kiev, a fantastic city.
Right.
I remember going to Moscow. So it's actually part of travel or part of actually working elsewhere allows you to make it personal.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the story that's being reported. It is actually places that had been,
Right.
and people that I had met.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that we have conflict.
Right.
But conflicts have been there in for centuries.
Yeah.
So it isn't that, and conflicts are caused by different things.
Yeah.
But conflicts is part of human way of dealing with each other, if we may put it that way. So I suspect it is about even when you think about the First World, the Second World War.
Yeah.
But how do we reduce the likelihood that conflicts will occur? Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why probably global organizations like the UN and all these institutions that have been created that create some balance,
Right.
are important.
Yeah.
But essentially, you just have, from a business perspective, you have to think about not conflict in the context of it's a finality.
Yeah.
But it's actually how do you de-risk your business or de-risk the country in the
Right.
context of a conflict that is happening. So rather than expressing a view as to whether the conflict, of course, conflicts are harmful because they affect human life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a brilliant
And
brain.
trade and
So-
everything.
and everything.
Yes, like
Absolutely.
now the Israel war is
Yeah.
affecting trade. We are already seeing it in our costs of doing business because of the diversion of trade from the Red Sea.
Right.
But that's part of life. You see, in business, you can't. There is no business that is immune from what's happening in the world. There is so when something could be happening, especially given how connected the world is, in the US and affects us.
Yeah.
Because of social media, because of technology,
Right.
because of trade.
Yeah.
And because the world is connected. And also, even when we think about talent today, you can't just think about talent in the context of Kenya, because people have different options.
Yeah.
A person could be working in Kenya and working for a company abroad.
That's
So
true.
the globalization has gotten to a stage, and connections of people have gotten to a stage where you cannot ignore what's happening outside.
Yeah.
Of course, COVID also showed us that actually localizing and creating much more resilience locally is also important. You can't just rely on global pieces. Yeah.
I've always wondered this. You're doing such a fantastic job with Safaricom. If we were to make you CEO of this country, how will you go about making Kenya a successful country, given what we are going through currently? We have debt, we have all these things going on. I'm always curious, how will you go about it?
Phil.
Yeah.
This you're telling me to be something that I'm not. I'm not a politician.
That's why I said
Yes.
CEO of this country.
Yes, yes.
Let's assume for some reason we are able to skip through the politics, and you're the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Yeah, I think the thing is, and I probably this will surprise you. The actual thought process, I would expect when you're a CEO of a company versus CEO of a country, is similar.
Right.
Just the context is different.
Right.
The elements that you are thinking about are different, and the issues that you are dealing with are different. Yeah, and the number of elements you need to factor in are very different. But the actual process of thinking, because I've come across, and I know President Ruto, I knew Uhuru, but I know President Ruto very well. I know he's in the detail. A lot of people don't realize, actually, he can come from the concepts of this is what I want to deliver for the country to this is how we design a particular product. When we were involved with the Hustler Fund,
right,
he was in the room in actually allowing us to understand his vision of what Hustler Fund was going to be. It was literally developed in 2 months from concept to launch. It would not have happened if the president's intention of what you wanted to create was not put in front of us. And if we do not work in an agile way, it's the same thing I talked about agile in our business in Safaricom, because everyone's role was clear. We developed minimum viable product and then continued to improve it until it was at a place. So my observation about how a president thinks about issues is very similar, only that the context is very different. When you look at some of the elements that we are faced with in this country, and they are facing very many other African countries, debt is one of them, which is the level of debt that countries have taken. Great to see that Kenya has been able to raise $1.5 billion to actually be able to ensure that we repay the Eurobond, because that's also one of the reasons that was creating some pressures on both the interest rate but also on the foreign exchange. The second one is funding the promises that the government wants to make based on their manifestos. How do you fund it? You raise revenue. You raise revenue through taxes. You have to broaden a tax ecosystem and so on and so forth. And then you have to deliver on the promises that you made. That's why I was talking about one of the promises the president made was on Hasafat. Mm-hmm. We are involved in some of the other elements like healthcare and so on and so forth. Right. So how do you raise revenue? Same thing. Mm-hmm. The corporates think about how do you deliver revenue so that you are able to deliver a return to shareholders. And then the third one is how do you manage the macroeconomic elements of the country? Mm-hmm. Currency, exchange rate, interest rates, all those parameters that allow you to run the country. Right. But at the end of the day, it starts with the promises you've made to the country, the vision you have for the country, which is the same things that I'm describing. Yeah. The visions you have for the country, the promises you have, and then how you fund those promises. Right. Because you cannot be able to actually fulfill the promises without funding. And then being able to make some tough decisions. In corporate, we have to make some tough decisions. In the political, in government, the presidents are faced with choices. Mm-hmm. And choices have implications at a social level, at an economic level, and those implications have to be taken into account. Okay. So in the context of that, I wouldn't say I wouldn't talk about what I would do, but certainly in the context of the promises that the government has made, I think I would go through what it will take for me to deliver on the promises that are made to the country, which is what the president is trying to do. All right.
You're a busy man, so I have just a few minutes with you. No, so I'd want to
have as much time as you want.
Yes. I don't think your team agrees.
Yes. Okay.
But so I'll just my two final questions. One is, you're a man facing immense pressure, leading such a big company. How do you keep yourself grounded? What are your daily practices now outside this office that keeps you grounded, that keeps you sane for the next day? that ukiona simu ya pressure, blood pressure ipandi, how do you keep yourself grounded?
So one thing that you learn at this level of leadership is you always have to ensure that as you play your role, you are switched on. Because if you are not switched on, you can miss big things.
Right.
People will come with a crisis, you need to manage that crisis. You'll be asked to make a big decision, you need to have the presence of mind to be able to make the decision. So you have to look after yourself. I always say you have to lead yourself to lead others.
Right.
And part of leading yourself is looking after yourself. You have to make sure that you have some anchors of strength. Family is usually one of them. Certainly, I traveled with my family all my time that I was abroad. Second, you also have to have time off. I don't work on Saturdays. People don't believe that, but it is true.
For real? Oh, wow.
I am present. As in, if there was a crisis, I would still be able to manage.
Yeah.
But I take time off. I go to the barber shop. I go and play golf if I have time. I watch sports. I am an Arsenal supporter. Even if they don't win. Even if they are not great winners.
Great people support
yes,
Arsenal.
exactly. You have to have a very good heart and very what's it called? Fit. You have to be have a fit heart for you to support Arsenal. But anyway, so you have to look after yourself.
Right.
For you to look after others.
Yeah.
Sleep is a very important. I'm not a great sleeper, but I've learned how to regulate my sleep.
Right.
Sleep at a particular time. I ensure that I'm not distracted when I sleep.
Okay.
All those things, because sleep is a very big way of actually rejuvenating. You know, the way people work overnight, and then they assume that they will be great. I would rather have great sleep and be slightly less. I'm always well prepared. My team knows this.
Yeah.
But if I was to choose between sleep and preparing, I would choose sleep. Because then when you are rested, it's much easier to be sharper, to be present, to be emotionally connected.
Right.
Because it's not just physically, but it's also emotionally connected. And then the other one is also keeping fit. So I've always kept fit. I run twice a week. Wow. It's in my diary. Right. Even when my PA tries to remove it, I tell her no. It's in my diary. Right. And I run in Karura. Okay. I learned martial arts. So you have to do things that you probably would not have done otherwise, just to keep yourself away, and to do something different. So I learned taekwondo. So watch sports, play sports, do things that are different, that keeps me away from trouble. Right. I avoid too much of the products that I used to sell.
I was about to wonder.
Yes.
Your whole
even when I worked,
part of your career
when I worked for the business,
Right.
I still used to consume those products in moderation. In any case, that's what we used to preach. But probably people told me, "Oh, you are too moderate in the way you call." So, but part of it is your productivity. You have to understand your system. So, if you are a great sleeper, that's great. I never take sleep for granted. If you love sports and keeping fit, fantastic. That's great. But you cannot let yourself be out of control. The worst thing in leadership is to be out of control. And it's not so much emotionally. It is physically, you have to be present. Mentally, you have to be present. And you have to allow your emotions to be easy to manage. Because otherwise, people will notice. We are, I say in leaders are watched. Like the way you window shop. No window shopping. Yes. So any movement that you make, anything that is wrong, if you came in with red eyes, people will know. And you can't say, "Oh yeah, my red." Sometimes also, actually, talking about it is useful. I didn't have great sleep. So that at least people know. So it is important also to be self-expressed and not wanting to be a hero. No, you don't want to be the machine. So you have to be honest about what is going on in your life. We usually, in our team, we talk about a check-in. So you say what happened over the weekend on a Monday. We talk about what happened over the weekend, so that at least you know where people are coming from. You might be dealing with someone who lost a close relative over the weekend, and you don't know. So it is important to look after ourselves, and but also to be disciplined. So my team knows they are not going to cancel things to do with the things I value: exercise, running, time off, those things. I came in and found lots of people with 50, 60, 70 days of leave. I said, forget it. We in 2 years, I want not more than 10 days of carried forward leave. So we shut down Safaricom from before Christmas to after New Year, unless you are in a critical area, like a network operations on a care center, so that people go on leave. It's important. So I travel. I love traveling. So holiday destinations, I've been to very many countries. So that's the way I keep I keep in control because people say, how do you look so composed?
I know.
It's learning.
Yeah.
We are not, you learn to do it.
Right.
I'm sure the president has learned over time.
Yeah.
To be present, to be in control, and any leader has to do that. Otherwise, you lose the plot, so to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I am a shareholder of Safaricom,
Yes.
and so I'm asking on behalf of other shareholders.
Other shareholders, yes.
What's your plan for us? What's the plan for Safaricom? Hey, karibu niseme
Yes.
Safaricom.
Yes.
Safaricom in future, in the foreseeable future.
So, if you are, I mean, it's great that you are a shareholder, Phil. I'm also a shareholder. When the CEO has not sold shares, you know it's a good thing. Yeah. So when you think about the company you should invest, you think about a company that will be there in the future in 5, 10, 15 years. We are in a sector that is influencing technology, is on the front end in terms of influencing technology and how technology shapes what society does and what customers do. We are in a sector that is enabling society to live better, whether that's access to the internet, whether that is mobile money. And also we are in the sector that allows to using technology to improve how people work. So simplifies life. So ours is to create a purpose-led technology company that will continue to improve how people live their lives, how people socialize, how people entertain, and we have an infrastructure that we have built, which we'll continue to use, but also we combine connectivity with mobile financial services, and now with where technology is going, I believe will continue to shape how people lead their lives in future. So in terms of what is in stock for shareholders, is to continue to serve society. Safaricom will be in service of society, and in improving people's lives. We'll also make money for shareholders and other stakeholders, including our ecosystem. We employ 1 million people indirectly through all our agents. We have 300,000 agents, M-Pesa agents. We have 700,000 Lipa na M-Pesa merchants. We have 4,000 dealers. So beyond the 6,000 people we look after, we influence in a very significant way what our ecosystem does to the society. And I say, the final thing I'll say is that we serve society in 3 ways. In the way we construct our products, so giving people access to the internet, giving them handsets that are more affordable, moving people from the Mlikamwizi to a 4G device, just enabling them improve their lives through the products we sell. The second is through our foundation, supporting schools, hospitals, environment. And the third one is supporting our passion points. Yeah, Kenyan's passion points, sports, Chapadimba. Yeah, we've spent 400 million, grassroots, about 4,000 teams that have participated. We now have three regions to go, and then the national final. So Chapadimba is big. We are going to support Olympics this year. Athletics this year as part of the path, the road to Paris. We've supported golf in a big way. We were the ladies Kenya Magical Ladies Open. We'll support the Open in Nairobi for the men, and we continue to support sports in a very big way. We are the biggest supporter of sports and big passion points at Kenya, whether it's sports, music, and other elements. So this is not just a company that gives dividends to shareholders. It's a company that improves people's lives, but also cares about those passion points that Kenyans that make Kenyans matter. And that's what makes me, as a CEO, really proud about working and serving in this company. And in addition to that, I can do other things like being Chancellor of Meru or serving in the drought committee as chair.
Yeah.
And because those things are important. Doing good is good for business.
Doing good is good for business.
Yes.
I think that's an amazing. There's a question we always ask. My fans will kill me if I don't ask.
Yes.
What's your mantra?
mantra in
every day, that line you keep telling yourself that keeps you going day by day.
Yeah. For me, I always say, and
Yeah.
it's always been in my mind, even in the most difficult times, because leaders go to difficult times, it's always in your hands.
It's always in you.
It's in your hands. You know, the way people blame the company, you blame your neighbor, oh, I didn't get this role because of this person. If you have the passion, if you have the perseverance, if you have the determination, everything is in your hands.
Yeah.
Luck comes to those in the moment.
Everything is in your hands. Luck comes to those
In the moment. You have to put yourself in front of luck for luck to come. Otherwise, if you wait for luck to come, it doesn't come. Then you say, oh, people are against me and so on and so forth. Actually, those people who energy needs to be positive. If you go into a room and people are negative, it takes energy out.
Yeah,
and those are the first people I take out. But not in a bad way, but saying you are going to be successful if you are positive.
Right.
If you are positive, you are going to be successful in this organization. If you are negative, then you create an environment that does not allow us to see solutions. Solutions don't come from negativity. They come from coming together and collaborating in a very positive way so that we create something that makes a difference in society. Even when there are problems, we can still find a solution.
A solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Peter Ndegwa. Classmates, I hope you enjoyed today's class. Our lecturer, I think, is top lecturer, top at the top. If you've not subscribed to Becoming CEO, I don't know what your problem is, because we get to talk and have conversations with the top CEOs in Africa. And by you subscribing, the channel gets bigger and we get bigger guests, as you can see. So please keep subscribing. Let's engage. And I hope today's conversation was very informative to you. I know there's so much I wanted us to talk about, and hopefully you guys can convince Mr. Peter Ndegwa to come back on the channel again. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Very happy to be here and happy to come back at some point.
Absolutely, amazing. Thank you. This is where the captains will hand you letters from schools.
Yeah.
I'm curious, which was your most favorite girls' school?
It was Limuru Girls.
Walikuwa naitwa Chalks hiyo enzi.
Yeah, Chalks.
Interesting.
Yeah, Limuru Girls.
Yeah.
We used to do a lot with Pangani, but that one was more because of the proximity, but also we used to do a lot of musicals. But in terms of debates and all those things, Limuru Girls, the Kenya High was one of them, but Limuru and
How many letters did you write?
There are some things that I say I don't respond to media.
You don't. Walikukataa wangapi? How many rejections?
You know when you are in high school, you have to take it on the chin. Like, so you get some, you lose some.
You lose some.
Yeah, but so you want to know?
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but a few. Yeah.
But a few.
Yeah.
I'm curious. How many have you met after you become really successful? Ambao walikukataa and you've met them on the streets of Nairobi?
No. Well, you don't spoil people's.
I hope they're watching. So the guys, when you rejection, look at what you missed out on. Poleni.